Good evening, everyone. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to my Sunday share. I hope you guys are having a good weekend. Just a few things before I get started. My hostess code for February. Anyone placing an order online, please use this hostess code in the box when you check out, and you'll earn some free products from me after the month is over with. An announcement that the Sale-A-Bration second release started on February 15th. So we now have 2 catalogs to pick from as far as earning free products during Sale-A-Bration. Now, one that I wanted to mention tonight is the Grapefruit Grove and Lovely Lipstick Foil Sheets. These are now sold out, and those were from the first release. Let me see what page that was on. So these are on page 12 right here. So you cannot get these for free any longer. Those are now sold out. Hello, everyone. I can see everybody coming on. So glad you're here. My door prize for the month of February is the organdy ribbon. There's 5 rolls of ribbon. For any type of order placed with me, your name will be entered into my drawing. So tonight I have 3 projects for you, 2 cards and 1 3D item. And I am using the new Painted Season stamp set that you can earn for free with the package of designer paper. And starting March 1st, you'll be able to order the dies to cut out the stamp images. So that's coming in a few weeks from now. I'm also using the All Adorned stamp set. I'm just using the sentiment right here. And the last one is Incredible Like You. And I'm also using one of the sentiments. So let me get set up for card number 1. Okay, so for inks on this one, I'm using Coastal Cabana and Highland Heather. I'm using the 2 1/4 inch circle punch. I'm using the Butterfly Elements. Now this is also a free product you can earn during Sale-A-Bration. You can see that I've used quite a bit from my pack. And I'm also using the Highland Heather Light blends marker. I've gone ahead and cut out a circle with the Painted Seasons designer paper using the layering circles dies. And this one measures almost 2 3/4 inches round. I'm also using the Happiness Blooms enamel dots and the metallic edge silver ribbon. I've gone ahead and cut out a 12-inch piece of ribbon. And then these are the little wooden elements I'll be using on the card. So the first card for tonight is this one. I'm going to show you how I created my own designer paper and layered a couple circles and then the wooden elements. My first layer is Poppy Parade, 11 inches by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2 and folded. Layer number 2 is Very Vanilla, 5 1/4 by 4. That's the one we're going to use to stamp on. And then a second scrap of the Very Vanilla. Now for the designer paper background that I created, I stamped the flower with Highland Heather. And what I did is I stamped the flower twice without re-inking. So I'm just going to fill in the background area. So you can see how by not re-inking, the second flower is a lot lighter than the first one. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for that one. And I'm seeing a lot of you guys sharing my video. Remember, if you share tonight, you'll be entered into my drawing to win all 3 projects I work on tonight. Now I'm doing the little dotted image, and same thing, I'm stamping twice without re-inking. And that's all I'm going to do for that. That's just a quick background. Let me put my stamp pads away. Now, before I put my scrap piece of paper away, I wanted to coordinate the ribbon with the ink color. And because we don't have the Highland Heather ribbon, I'm going to color my own ribbon to the color that I want. So this is the Highland Heather Light. You can see that it colors very easily. So again, I cut about 12 inches of ribbon on this one. And the Highland Heather color looks awesome with the silver on each side. When new ribbon comes out, I always buy a lot of the white ribbon because I know I'm going to end up coloring some of it. So I have a lot of this one on hand. And this dries very fast because it is alcohol based. So you can see how pretty that is with the shimmery silver on each side. Now let me put my card together. So I'm going to layer the designer paper that I just created. Sandra wants to know what color, what ribbon am I using? I'm using the silver trimmed, the white silver trimmed. It's actually item number 144213. Now, because I know my ribbon is going to be covered with the sentiment layer, I'm going to go ahead and add some glue in the center. I'm going to angle the ends. And then I'm just going to start pressing it in place. So the middle is what's going to secure it. And I'm just creating 2 loops. So you can see that the 12 inches fits perfectly on here. So I've glued the center down. Now I'm going to bring in the Painted Seasons designer paper. That's going to go on top of the ribbon. Next, I'm going to stamp the sentiment on the Very Vanilla scrap. And this one says, "You are pretty much the best ever." This is where the 2 1/4 inch circle punch comes in. Let me trim that a little bit. It's a little too wide. Just so I can get in there. Now this I'm going to glue down with dimensionals. And that goes right in the center. Now I'm going to bring in the little wooden elements. Now, when I took these apart, I wanted to copy this card exactly. I only had 3 of these left, and I broke one when I took it out, but I'm still going to use it. I should be able to glue that in place, even though I broke it. I think I ate my Cheerios this morning when I took it apart, and I just pressed a little too hard. Okay, now I'm going, so I've got 2 of the smaller sized branch and then 1 of the larger one. So I'm just tucking these under the sentiment layer. Now let's see if we can do this one. So I'm going to glue the part with the stem on the end first. And I'm pretty sure I can sneak this in. There, you can't even tell that that one's broken. Okay, next is the little butterfly. Again, I'm using the liquid glue. It's going to be right at the top of my circle. And lastly on this one is the little enamel dots. I'm going to go put 2 of those right on the butterfly. And that's card number 1. See how quick that one was? So we've got quite a few things going on here. We got ribbon, wooden elements. The sentiment is raised with the designer paper underneath. And then I made my own designer paper in the background. So I hope you like this card. Let me set up for number 2. Now on the next 2 projects, I've gone ahead and done the stamping ahead of time. So card number 2 is going to be this one. I've got 3 banners using the new designer paper, the Painted Seasons. I've also, I'm using the, let me show you in here, the Country Floral Dynamic Embossing Folder that you see right here. And these are the thicker ones. You only need 1 clear pad when you put these through the Big Shot. It's going to be hard for me to show you the design here, but let me show you the embossed layer that I've already gone ahead and done. Hopefully you can see that. It's got a lot of raised flowers and branches. The card base is Call Me Clover, 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. And I've gone ahead and stamped and cut out the 2 leaves from the Painted Seasons stamp set. This one is Shaded Spruce, and this one is Call Me Clover, and they're on Whisper White cardstock. I've got a scrap of Call Me Clover for stamping. And for my 3 banners, so you can see that this 3 different patterns from the Painted Seasons, really pretty paper. The first one is 2 1/4 by 4 3/4. The second one is 4 by 1 1/2. And the third one is 3 1/2 by 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is use the banner triple punch to punch out the banners. And as you can see, I always marked measurements on punches like this. So I've got the 1 inch, 1 1/2, and 2 inch. So here's the 1 inch strip. Now the next strip is the 1 1/2. So that fits perfectly in there. Now this one is 2 1/4, which is a little bit wider than what fits on the largest size. So I'm going to just center that and push it in. And you're going to see that I have little nubbies on each end. So all I do is take my scissors and trim those off. So there's my 3 banners. Next, I need the sentiment. And this one is with the Shaded Spruce on the Call Me Clover cardstock. I liked using the darker ink on the Call Me Clover. It just stands out so well. And then this is the Story Label Punch. Now this you will be able to purchase on March 1st. That's coming out with a whole list of products that are going to be around just for 1 month. So I'm going to punch this out. So that's the shape that cuts out. It's a really neat punch. Now let me glue all of the layers. So I'm going to fold the cardstock and add the embossed layer. And I forgot to say this is mint macaron, and that measures 5 1/4 by 4. I don't think I mentioned the size on that one. So I've already gone ahead and embossed this one. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue my banners together before I put them on the card base. So I'm just going to leave about 1/4 of an inch on this Call Me Clover. And then this one is a little bit wider, almost 1/2 inch on this one. So there's my 3 layered banners. And I'm going to glue this about 1/4 of an inch from the left-hand side of the mint macaron. And Stamping Dimensionals. Oh, Carol loves the colors that I'm using. Aren't these colors pretty? They're so bright and cheery. And that's going to go right there. I'm going to glue both branches. So although I've done the stamping ahead of time, I just didn't want to keep you guys too long tonight because the next project is a 3D project. Now this is the darker, which is the shaded spruce leaf, followed by the Call Me Clover leaf. And then I have to find my little enamel shapes that I just used right here. I tend to just throw everything off to the side when I'm done a project, and then I have to go looking for it. So these come in 3 sizes, so I'm going to go from large, medium, to small. Okay, so there's card number 2. So this is mostly designer paper, embossing, and just a few stamped leaves, but it makes for a very cool looking card. Okay, now let me set up for number 3 project. So for my 3rd project, I decided I wanted to do something 3D-ish. So I'm using the gift bag punch board, and I created this little gift bag. And what I did is I actually put a little piece of ribbon on top of a paper clip, and that's what I used to keep my my bag closed. Now I've gone ahead and stamped my flower with Poppy Parade on Very Vanilla. And this is Call Me Clover, and I actually stamped it twice without re-inking, so you can see that one of is quite lighter than the other, so we get the 2 shades. This is Very Vanilla for the banner, and this measures 3 3/4 by 2. And then we also have the Painted Seasons, 4 inches by 1 1/4. So again, I'm going to use the punch. Now we don't have a 1 1/4 measurement, so I'm just going to center that, and you'll see that it works. Very Vanilla. So there's my 2 banners. And also underneath the flower and the leaves, I have a little circle of vellum there. See if you can see right there. Hopefully you can see that. It just tones down the background a little bit. And that's with the 2 1/4 inch circle punch. The same punch that I used on card number 1. Okay, so that's all of the layers that we need. Now I'm going to show you the gift bag punch board. A lot of you guys probably have this. You've probably tucked it away and you've forgotten how to use this. So let me show you that there's 3 sizes on the punch board. The small, the medium, and the large. Whatever size designer paper you cut, you have to use the same measurements on this side. You'll see the small, medium, and large. So I decided to go with a small, and this measures 10 by 6 inches. I'm going to turn this sideways. Let me get my little bone folder. Now, one little tip that I use when I start, because you have to line the edge of your designer paper with this line right here. And you have a punch that punches right on the edge. Sometimes this punch doesn't like to punch right on the edge. So what I do is I put a scrap piece of paper under. Then I line it up. And then I punch. So it gives you a nice clean punch on the end. So first step is to punch. Then you're going to follow this little triangle with your bone folder. There's one here in the center. And remember that we are creating a small. So I'm going to do the side first. So you got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this creates the side of your box. Now you're going to take this line that you created, and it's going to line up with this line that we used on the first and you're going to punch. First step is always to punch. Now I'm creating, so I just created the side. Now I'm creating the front. So I need to go to S for small. Okay, then we move that score line over, line it up with this line, punch again. Now we're creating side number 2. So again, we're going to use the triangle. It's very easy once you've done a couple of these. So there's small side, front, small side. Again, we move over to the score line. Even with this line, we're going to punch. And then on the S, move the score line over, punch. Now the last step is to take this, start over here and go across. You're going to go across the whole piece of the designer paper, and that's actually going to create your tabs, the score line for your tabs. And that's it. Now the only other thing that I do, so these are all the little tabs that were cut out. The only other thing that I do to make it easy for gluing is I cut this at an angle and cut this one right off. And I also cut this one at a small angle. So now we just score on all the score lines, or fold on all the score lines. Now, because you guys are sharing this video and somebody's going to win all 3 projects, I'm not going to glue the bottom of the box tonight that I'm making, only so that I can fold it flat to mail it to the winner. But I'll show you how that works anyway. Then we fold all of the tabs over. And then this is where I would bring in the tear and tape. Add 2 pieces to the small tab on the end. And now I'm just going to remove the backing so I can glue the sides together. And I'll show you a really quick and easy way to do that. All you need to do is fold this over so the tab's right here, and then fold this over again and they join, and there's your box. So normally you would fold these over and glue them on top of each other, but like I said, I'm going to mail this to the winner, so I'm not going to glue the bottom so that I can fold it flat. But isn't that an easy project to do with the gift punch board? And you can always fold on the little score lines on the side that we created. And then I'm going to glue everything else in place so you can see how I did that. You know what I lost? I lost my paper clip. Let me see if I can find it here. Well, okay, so let's get going. I'm gonna glue the Very Vanilla tag. And that's going to go right on the front. And then I'm going to overlap. Oops, I just ran out of snail. And then this one's going to overlap on the Very Vanilla. Next, we've got the vellum. Now, I know I'm going to glue something in the center of the vellum, so that's where I'm going to add all of my glue because it won't show anyway. That goes right in the center. Now, when I was gluing the paper, the designer paper down, I noticed that the center of the flowers was brown. So I took the Early Espresso Stampin' Write marker on the wide end, and all I did was add some dots because I wanted my flower to match what was on the designer paper. And you can actually see it more on this one. There's a lot more of the centers on this one. But I'm just pouncing and adding dots. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do there. Next is Stamping Dimensionals. I'm still trying to find my paper clip as I talk here, and I can't find it. I have some over on my counter. I'm just going to hop over and get one because I wanted to show you how I did the ribbon. Okay, now I'm going to tuck the darker leaf first, right there. And then and then add the lighter colored one underneath. Okay, let me pop over and get a paper clip quickly. Okay, here we go. So what I did with the paper clip, as you can see, I added a ribbon. So all I did was thread this Call Me Clover 1/8 inch ribbon, and I tied a double knot. And then I'm just going to angle the ends. So I'm just creating my own little embellishment is what I did. See how cute that is? Just simple. And then you would tuck these in together and then pop the little paper clip in there. So how cute is that? I love this little bag. So if you guys don't have this gift bag punch board, I would highly recommend it because the bigger your designer paper is, the bigger the box is. And I started out with a 6-inch wide piece. So this is the height. You end up with a box about 4.5 inches tall. And you can go as high as you want on the designer paper. So let me bring all of my projects back in. I can see all the love. Thanks for all the love, you guys. There was card number 2. And then this was the first card that I created. There, that's it for tonight for my 3 projects. So this bundle, I love this bundle. If you haven't ordered it as of last week, this went live on the 15th. So I highly recommend because, like I said, you'll be able to order the matching dies on March 1st that you can pay for and order. So this week I have quite a few classes coming up. I'm starting a new class on my new public page, and I'll put this in the comments when I'm done. So I have... I'm trying to think, Wednesday at 2 p.m. on my public page, and then I have Thursday I have a class, and Friday I have a class. So I'll remind you guys anyway of my upcoming classes, and thanks so much for joining me tonight. I hope you like my projects, and have a good night, everyone.